You take one person and it doesn't seem like you maybe produce a lot of waste with food or recycling, but as a collective, that's a lot of material that could be either composted or recycled and definitely should not end up in the landfill.
Currently, our greenhouse gas emissions in Denver, 20% of those come from our solid waste. So we really wanted to do something to bring those emissions down.
We should all have access to recycling, but it's up to us, the people, to push and make it happen.
We have a lot of aspirational goals in our society. Trash is one that we can take on and we can win.
Waste No More is a grassroots citizen-led initiative that is aiming to require apartments, businesses, restaurants, etc. to offer composting and recycling. And then it would also require that special events offer composting and recycling, and would also require recycling from demolition and construction. My name is Brandon Rietheimer. I'm a grassroots activist. Full-time in my normal life, I'm just a package delivery guy. I do all of this in my free time. We decided to start this campaign because back when we were running the Green Roof Initiative, the most common thing we heard was, why does my building not offer recycling and composting? So we'd always intended to really try to fill that gap. We had hoped that the city would do something on their own, but in the last 4 years, there's been no movement. So we decided to take it on ourselves.
I've actually called and asked, I'm like, why don't we have recycling? And we have an association here, but it seems like it's just not important to them. Every time that I throw something that can be recycled, I just feel terrible. I'm like, oh my God, all the paper is throwing it in the trash, and it just breaks my heart that we're not doing anything about it here where I live.
We have to do it ourselves. It'd be so much more convenient to have it here. But we still take it to the recycling center because we want to recycle. It's important.
It's been really, really frustrating for me to not have access to recycling because essentially I live in Denver, but only 3 days a week I work in Boulder. They have a wonderful recycling center. So on the days that I work down there, I stop by and I throw all my recyclables in there. But it would be a lot easier if it was at my house.
Composting is incredible to me, and I love it. I think that if people had the opportunity to, they actually would compost. I think when you don't have access to commercial composting, it is incredibly time consuming to try to do anything remotely, compost oriented. And I also think it's just like a massive loss of nutrients and renewed soil.
I have some bins that I use for compost, and I'll typically take that compost to a place where I know the material, the organic waste, will be composted. It's an individual thing, it's not provided by the building. And so I'm not sure how many other people do that. It would be a lot easier if I could just bring it to my courtyard, to the place where there would be a bin, and not drive and create more, negative impact on the environment. That would just be ideal. I've worked in restaurants, and there's a lot of waste produced, and a lot of things that could be recycled and a lot of things that could be composted. And when they don't end up being composted, it's just, it's like, why not? It's tons and tons of food. If you're a business, I think you have a responsibility to the environment. I think we all do.
My name's Adam Reed. I'm the Director of Operations for the Jack's Fish House Restaurant Group. Started as a GM in this Lodo location in 2007 and have been with the group since. I want to make sure we're lessening our impact and making sure that we're buying wind energy when we can, and composting, recycling for sure, and being mindful about our sustainable practices across the board. Compost was important to us because of all the biological waste that comes out of an oyster bar too. Restaurants generate a tremendous amount of waste, and so it requires a passionate, business owner who's going to say, this is important to me and this is work that we can do, and putting it in this bin versus that bin, it's no harder. You just have to be awake to it. You got to be excited about it, frankly, and take out that compostable trash bag and say, hey, look at all of this that didn't go in the landfill and is going to be utilized for something worthwhile.
If everyone in Denver was recycling, imagine the impact we would have on our environment.
It makes so much more sense for us to reuse the materials that have already been pulled out of the ground, where they've already been extracted and processed, for us to reprocess those.
My name is John Lehr. I'm president of Momentum Recycling. Glass recycling is one of the few examples of a true closed-loop system in our community. Glass containers that are purchased and consumed here in Colorado are going to be recycled here at this facility and sent back to container manufacturers to be made back into new bottles right here in Denver. When you use recycled glass to make a new bottle, it uses 1/3 less energy than using just virgin materials. And in the short run, yes, there's some very real challenges to recycling. Things that were recyclable a few years ago have not been recently, but that's changing. It'll be short-lived. We'll get through it, and all of that material will be recycled once again, and then some. We need to be self-reliant. We need to be able to process the materials we collect here. We need to be able to do it close to home. Why ship it halfway around the world? We can process it and reuse it right here. We just need the infrastructure to do that. If someone is interested in building a new facility here in Colorado, that's the first thing they're going to look at. Am I going to have enough volume of whatever commodity I'm going to process to be able to be a profitable facility? And if not enough people are recycling, you'll never have that volume.
You know, we see it with our own eyes, right? I mean, our communities are gentrifying, we are seeing development, and it doesn't seem like they give much thought to what was there before. They just knock it all down and they send it all to the dump, and we have to find better solutions to reuse materials that have already had the carbon sunk into them.
Construction and demolition is something that really hasn't been touched in Denver. Currently, all of our construction and demolition waste gets sent right to the landfill. So we really want to ensure that certain materials are sorted and repurposed, like concrete, wood, nails, things like that.
If Waste No More became a law for special events, when they're going to get their permit, it just means they have to show the city that they have a plan for their waste and how they're going to divert that waste into compost and into trash, and hopefully how they're going to reduce their waste over time.
So we definitely need to get on the ball and do more so that everyone has access to recycling.
Why are we only making accessible to wealthy people? Is it because wealthy people are seen as the people who care environmentalism? Because that's actually extremely inaccurate. And the most environmentally aware people are usually people in poverty. And so it's like, is this rooted in the assumption that like poor people don't care or poor people won't do it?
We know from our own climate plan that we need to enact these policies. So from an inequity standpoint, if we're talking about climate justice, those that are most vulnerable in our society are the ones that are going to be harmed the most. It's going to take everyone in society to make the leap into better waste management. And I know waste is something easy to ignore, but it's not. It's part of the deal. I really wish we didn't have to be the people to do this. I wish that the elected leaders would just draft the policy and live up to the plans and the goals that were set forward by the plans and goals that other leaders had set up, but they haven't. And so when the government doesn't lead, the people must lead, because we don't have no time to act on climate action. The scientists are telling us, for the listeners out there, if you don't know, NASA, whom we trust to go to Mars, is predicting a multi-decade mega drought with Colorado in the bullseye by the end of this century. So your tourism, your beer industry, your ski industry, all of it gone. The agriculture industry, all of it gone if we don't take action.
We want to make it a no-brainer for everyone to recycle. It's good for the community, it creates jobs, it drives the economy, it conserves valuable natural resources. That's when we win. We get everyone across all the ideological spectrums in our society to think of this as something that's just what we do.
Everybody talks about the 3 branches of government, but there's really a 4th branch, right? And that's you and me. That's you and us being able to go and bring our laws forward. It doesn't even exist in every place. So we're really lucky that we have it here in Denver. And we're going to face opposition, but we have to keep showing up and we have to be positive.
So I got my stimulus money back and I decided to donate it to this campaign. It's really, really close to my heart because it's the city that I was born and raised in and the city that I've loved for so many years. And it's grown so much. There are so many more people here that we really need to do more, to protect the future of the city. I love getting out there and volunteering, collecting signatures for important issues like this because it makes me feel like I'm doing something to help my city and to help future generations. And I also really love enlightening people and letting them know why it's so important for them to be involved.
Waste No More is a Denver County initiative specifically, so unless you live in Denver County, you won't see it. So it's really important for all Denver residents to get out and vote.
Campaigns like this are about people power. We need you to volunteer, we need you to donate, we need you to phone bank, we need you to go out and petition, we need you to vote yes, we need you to door knock. I know the pandemic is a scary time right now, and people have different comfortable levels about where they can participate. I'm assuring you that we have opportunities for every single person who wants to get involved in reducing our waste and making steps towards climate justice to join us, Waste No More.